Good morning, Sir Capasio. We are Group 3 and for today's topic, we are going to discuss about restaurant hazards. So, among many hazards in the restaurant, food contamination is one of the controversies since the main product of a restaurant is their food. Therefore, workplace should be strictly aware of hygiene around the kitchen to serve a quality, clean, and safe food and beverages to the customers. First, let us begin in knowing what are the things that will happen if the food served is contaminated.
So, good day, guys. Our topic for today is we discuss about the foodborne illness. Foodborne illness. It is caused by consuming a contaminated food or beverage, such as a may different diseases causing by microbes or pathogen can contaminate foods. So there are many different types of foodborne illness. Most foodborne diseases are infected by varieties of bacteria, viruses, and parasites. First is bacteria. Bacteria foodborne infections occur when food is contaminated with bacteria, is eaten by is eaten and bacteria continues to grow in intestine. Then the second one is viruses. Various viruses have been infected on foodborne illness. There's a two types of virus. The first one is norovirus and the second one is hepatitis A, causing of the most significant burden of foodborne illness and breakdowns as they are highly continuous viruses. Then the third one is parasite. Parasite is a small living organism that can uh, go through our body. You can get them from contaminated food or water, a bug bites, or even sexual contacts. Some parasitic diseases are easily treated and some are not. Parasites range in size from tiny one-celled organism called protozoa to worm that can be seen in our naked eye. Some parasitic diseases are occur in our environment or even in place where even unfamiliar from us. Number four is chemical. Chemical is a liquefied substance made by human. It is harm for us to use when it's contaminate in our body. It gives us a chemical reaction that our body um, can't react easily. The last one is harmful toxin. Toxin damage enzymes and tags undermine countless bodily function. Example of that is mycotoxin associated with human food includes aflatoxins and patulum, fom- fominicin, and ochratoxin A and deoxynivalenol. The CDC estimated that each year 48 million people get sick from foodborne illness and 128,000 are hospitalized and 30,000 died uh, caused by foodborne illnesses.
Nausea is the feeling of being sick to your stomach. It may be accompanied by sweating, weakness, increased saliva, and an urge to vomit. According to age, many factors can cause vomiting, viruses, and food poisoning milk allergies, motion sickness, overeating, overfeeding, causing clogged intestine, and condition when the child has a high temperature are all common cause of vomiting in kids. Vomiting. The most common cause of vomiting is in adults include foodborne illness, food poisoning, indigestion, bacterial or viral infection, like viral gastroenteritis, which is often referred to as an stomach ache. Vomiting is the forced voluntary or involuntary evacuation of the content of the stomach through the mouth, or less frequently the nose. It is sometimes referred to scientifically as emesis, and is also known colloquially as throwing up, reaching, having, hurling, packing, tossing, or getting ill. Stomach cramps. Common cause of stomach cramps include eating food that can irritate your stomach, constipation, food poisoning, or a stomach infection. Stomach cramps, one of the part and abdomen is the only one which localized pain problems with certain organs frequently result in this kind of discomfort. Stomach ulcer or open sores on the inner lining of the stomach are the most typical source of localized pain. Diarrhea. Diarrhea is defined as the passage of 3 or more loose or liquid stools per day, or one more frequent passage than in normal for the individual. Diarrhea, bowel motion that are frequently loose, watery, and potentially more frequent are a common issue. It could be the only symptoms or coexist with the others: nausea, vomiting, stomach discomfort, or weight loss. Fortunately, diarrhea typically lasts no longer than a few days.
However, symptoms may differ among the different types of foodborne diseases. Symptoms can sometimes be severe, and some foodborne illnesses can be even life-threatening. Although anyone can get a foodborne illness, some people are more likely to develop one. Those groups include older adults, young children, because their immune system are more likely weakened. So, next is people with immune systems weakened from medical conditions such as diabetes, liver disease, kidney disease, organ transplants, or HIV or AIDS, or from receiving chemotherapy or radiation treatment. Next is pregnant women. And lastly, most people with foodborne illness get better without medical treatment, but people with severe symptoms should see their doctor. Some common
The top 5 germs that cause illnesses from food eaten in the United States are norovirus. Noroviruses are a group of viruses previously known as Norwalk-like viruses that can cause gastroenteritis, an inflammation of the stomach and intestines. Ang sintomas ng virus na ito ay pagtatae, pagsusuka at pananakit ng tiyan. Nakukuha ang norovirus dahil sa hindi tamang pag-ugas ng kamay bago humawak ng pagkain, sa improper cooking, sa pagkakaroon ng kontak sa suka at dumi ng isang tao, kaya dapat na alam natin kung paano maiiwasan ang mga ito sa pamamagitan ng pagiging malinis sa ating sarili. Salmonella. Salmonella is spread by the fecal-oral route and can be transmitted by food and water, by direct animal contact, and rarely from person to person. An estimated 94% of salmonellosis is transmitted by food. Humans usually become infected by eating foods contaminated with feces from an infected animal. Makikita ang salmonella sa mga pagkain tulad ng chicken, beef, pork, eggs, fruits, vegetables at mga processed foods. Maraming tao ang nakakuha ng salmonella virus dahil sa hindi tamang paglinis o pag-storage sa mga ito. Kaya para maiwasan ang infection na ito, magbasa ng mga tamang guidelines kung paano ang tamang paglinis at pag-storage ng mga ito. Clostridium perfringens. In most cases, C. perfringens food poisoning results when you eat improperly cooked and stored foods. Normally, bacteria are found on food after cooking, and these bacteria can multiply and cause C. perfringens food poisoning if the food sit out and cool before refrigerating. Nakukuha ito sa mga pagkain pag bagong luto na hinahayaan lang sa isang lugar, kaya dahil dito nakakalapit ang mga virus sa pagkain. Nakukuha ito sa mga pagkain pag bagong luto na hinahayaan lang sa isang lugar, kaya dahil dito nakakalapit ang mga virus sa pagkain. Nakukuha din ito sa hindi tamang pagluto at pag-storage ng isang pagkain. Campylobacter. People can get Campylobacter infection by eating raw or undercooked poultry or eating something that touch it. They can also get it from eating other foods including seafood, meat, and produce by contact with animals and by drinking untreated water. Pagkain na hindi naluto ng ayos ay isa sa dahilan bakit nagkakaroon ng infection. Tulad ng paggamit ng kutsilyo o mga utensils sa mga karne na ginamit din sa mga gulay nang hindi hinuhugasan ay dahilan din para ma-infect ang isang tao. Staphylococcus aureus. These bacteria are spread by having direct contact with an infected person by using a contaminated object or by inhaling infected droplets dispersed by sneezing or coughing. Skin infections are common but the bacteria can spread through the bloodstream and infect distant organs. Nakakakuha ang isang tao ng virus sa pagkakaroon ng contact with an infected person, pagsasalitan sa isang personal na gamit, pag-ubo at pagkatsi na dahilan kung bakit dinahawang isang tao dahil natatalasikan ng laway. Skin infections ang kadalasang symptoms ng virus na ito. Some other germs don't cause as many illnesses, but when they do, the illnesses are more likely to lead to hospitalization. Those germs include E. coli. E. coli infections can be spread by many food sources such as undercooked ground beef, unpasteurized apple cider and milk, ham, turkey, roast beef, sandwich meats, raw vegetables, cheese, and contaminated water. Ang symptoms ng E. coli ay pananakit ng tiyan, pagsusuka at pagtatain na may kasamang dugo. Kapag nangyari iyon, madidehydrate ang isang tao. Kung may matinding nararamdaman na, magpunta na agad sa ospital dahil ang E. coli ay nakakamatay din ng isang tao na pati kidney ay naapektuhan na. Clostridium botulinum. Improperly canned, preserved, or fermented foods can provide the right conditions for the bacteria to make the toxin. You cannot see, smell, or taste the toxin, but taking even a small taste of food containing it can be deadly. Botulism is a medical emergency. Improperly canned at mga preserved foods ang nagkakaroon ng bacteria toxins. Hindi natin makikita, maaamoy at malalasahan ng toxin sa isang pagkain. Pero pag tayo ay nakatikim kahit na konti lamang, maaari nating ikamatay iyon. Dahil ang toxin pag umatake sa katawan ng isang tao, nagsasanhi ito ng nahihirapan huminga, muscle paralysis at higit sa lahat kamatayan. Listeria. Listeria infection is a foodborne bacterial illness that can be very serious for pregnant women, people older than 65, and people with weakened immune systems. It's most commonly caused by eating improperly processed deli meats and unpasteurized milk products. Sa mga ready-to-eat at refrigerated foods nakukuha ang listeria dahil ito'y nakalagay lamang sa ref at walang tamang storage. Nakukuha din ito sa mga vegetables at meat na nakontaminate sa fertilizer. Nakakamatay din ang listeria dahil ang complications nito ay blood infection at meningitis. Vibrio. People can get infected with Vibrio vulnificus when they eat raw shellfish, particularly oysters. Since it is naturally found in warm marine waters, people with open wounds can be exposed to Vibrio vulnificus through direct contact with seawater. Mai-infect ng isang tao sa pagkain ng mga raw shellfish tulad ng oysters since nakakuha ito sa mga marine waters. Kadalasan ng mga tao ay naliligo doon. Kapag ang isang tao ay may sugat, maaaring ma-infect sa pagkakaroon ng contact sa seawater. Kapag ang isang tao ay may Vibrio vulnificus, kailangan nila ng intensive care kaya dapat na sila ay magpunta sa hospital pag sobrang lala na ng kanilang nararamdaman. Pwedeng mamatay ang isang tao at magkaroon ng seryosong sakit dahil sa Vibrio.
Now let us know the case study about Taco Bell's history of illness. Taco Bell has come under investigation by the Center for Disease Control several times since 1995 for a series of foodborne illnesses. This chain has a hazy history of food safety and has multiple outbreaks of Salmonella, E. coli, and even hepatitis. In 1995, an outbreak of hepatitis A in Utah was linked to an infected employee. By the year 1999, 21 people, many of them are children, were infected with E. coli in 4 different states after eating beef tacos supplied by a farmer with a dodgy record. Moreover, in year 2000, their second hepatitis health scar began when uncooked green onions were linked to 30 reports of hepatitis A. Unfortunately, in year 2006, an E. coli outbreak linked to lettuce caused 78 cases of E. coli poisoning where 55 people are hospitalized. In 2010, 2 types of Salmonella epidemics occurred in multiple states at the same time. 155 people became ill, and 42 were hospitalized, and in year 2011, it was a multi-state outbreak of Salmonella enteritis that caused illness in 68 people in 10 states. Since 1999, 343 people in the US have become ill after eating food at Taco Bell linked to foodborne illnesses, but there have been no major issues since 2011. So let's hope that Taco Bell's winning streak continues.
Hello everyone, and this is the topic how to prevent cuts, burns, and other injuries like slippery and falls. So before you start to cook, it's always a good idea to make sure your work area is clean. He would around the kitchen saying safety doesn't happen by accident. He would instruct us on how to use a can opener and a knife properly to prevent cuts, how to protect ourselves from burns by wearing sleeves, and how to work carefully to avoid making a mistake out of hurry. So, number one, handle knives and other blades with care. Handle knives and other blades with care. A knife is a probably the most important tool in a kitchen. And learning the best way to handle knives is the easiest way to avoid cutting yourself. Second, don't walk with knives pointing out, holding it out your side, pointing down, and never run with a knife in your hand. Don't leave a knife dangling or over the edge of a cutting board or your work surface. Never leave a knife in the sink, particularly with the other dishes. Not only is it a bad for the blade, but any a knife is accessible to your hands, but visually obscure, your chances of an injury skyrocket. And make sure your cutting board is stable, it's won't sway or slide under you while you cut. And lastly, the basic is learn basic knife skills, especially how to hold the knife and the food that you're cutting to avoid slip and cuts. So number two, don't start fires. Whenever you have a gas on stove or electric, the kitchen is highly flammable area. So it's a dangerous. Dangerous. We need to be alert here. In our comprehensive tutorial on how to avoid setting your kitchen on fire, we went into a great detail about fire safety. But generally, bear the following advice in mind. First, don't let flammable things such as any kind of fat or cooking oil, any kind of vapor of packaging, or any sort of aerosol spray cans sit near an open flame or heat source. Second, don't leave food on the stove or in the oven unattended. Set timers to help you remember when you check on food in case you have to leave the kitchen for any reason. Number 3, always use a towel or pot holder before using a kitchen towel or pot holder to leave something hot. Make sure it is totally dry because wet objects carry heat instead of stopping it. Could drop a vessel or burn your hands. And after use it, put it in the right place. Don't put in there the fire because it can start a fire. Number 4, cleaning all spills immediately. Before attempting to clean up spills, take the size into consideration. Large spills should be cleaned up slightly differently than a small spill, especially. For example, you would not attempt to clean up a gallon of spill liquid with a paper towels. Whatever the size of the spill, clean up the spills with the appropriate equipment and correct chemicals. And lastly, number 5, proper footwear in the workplace where floors when may be oily or wet or where workers spend considerable time outdoors. Prevention of fall incidents should focus on selecting power footwear since there is no footwear with anti-slip properties for every condition. Consultation with manufacturers is highly recommended. So, properly fitting footwear increases comfort and prevents fatigue, which in turn improves safety for the employee.